like I was in that all God oneness thing, and I'm just sharing my 25-year younger self than now, who is naive and dumb, and you don't go around telling people that oh yeah, it's all the same. Like you don't, because it's not well received. People's personal beliefs and their religious interpretations, they're theirs and they're important and they're sacred. And I didn't have that perspective 25 years ago. That's not how I was looking at things. And it is now how I see things as I've gotten a little bit older. And I felt compelled to share that. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's important. It's kind of what we said earlier, that, as a practitioner, you have to be willing to set aside your need to be right. Your need to go, oh, no, wait a minute. Let me tell you how it is. You would do that from your heart, and you would do it so lovingly, and you just want to share your deep, wise understanding. And like Lance says, it just may not be well received.
I think that's a very important point, Lance. Really, thank you for bringing that forward. It goes back to the respect, right? Respect and honor.
Yeah, there is. Okay, I gotta say this because this just popped in. So there is that thing. I'm sure you've all heard it, and it's done in so many different ways. But it's the 3 gates. Before you speak, your words should pass through 3 gates. Is it honest? Is what I'm about to say honest and true? Is it kind? Is it said in a way which is not intentionally hurtful and presumably can be well received? And is it necessary? Does it really need to be said? Okay, Suzanne.
Wait, I have a story about that, about you, Simon.
Boy.
Simon is very good at that, because when I first met Simon many years ago at the retreat, I thought he was like a monk or something. Like, he never spoke except when he had some deep gem of wisdom coming through him. And it was like our joke. I mean, that was before he was a minister and before he was, and even when he did speak, very, very seldom at our retreats, it was only these little nuggets. And so he's there, when he tells you those things, he's really a master, I will tell you, with those things.
I'm going to blush. All right, anyway, moving on. But thank you, Linda. Suzanne, did you have a question? Comment?
Yes, one of our objectives was to recognize the trend of religion in the modern world. What is the trend?
What do you think? What do you see?
Well, I know what the trend is for me.
Let's start there. What is your experience? What is your perception?
My perception is that I personally am leaving, the dogma of the 8 major religions. Obviously, Science of Mind isn't one of them. To a more open and inclusive and enlightened way of thinking.
Okay. Sharon's hand went up. Are you wanting to comment on that piece?
Sure. From a sociological perspective, is the trend currently is that religious nuns are growing, people that are not affiliated with religion. And this is starting to happen in the United States and particularly in Europe. People are becoming less religious, and quite often if they make a distinction, they will say they're spiritual but not religious.
Yeah, and they're often referred to as the unchurched, which just means they're not affiliated.
Right.
And of course, needless to say, that causes a big concern for the more traditional paths.
So when you're like, why aren't people coming to church? It's a phenomenon that's happening across denominations, and it's relatively recent in the United States. But Europe is, Sweden. One of my teachers is Sweden is like small percentage of the population is affiliated with a church. So.
Hey, Christine, we haven't heard your voice tonight. Any tidbits from you, my dear?
I don't know if I have anything pressing that I feel I need to share or want to share, I guess. So I've been listening and enjoying and learning and appreciate the sharing in the small groups. And yeah, I guess I'm realizing, you know, I haven't experienced a lot of the different religions. Partly, I think, because places I've lived haven't had, you know, we haven't had the diversity. So thinking I need to figure out a way to experience more of that. So,
It's called the internet.
right, that's true.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Thanks, dear.
Yes.
Who else have not we heard from tonight? Deborah, have you said, I don't think I feel your energy. What do you have to say?
Oh, okay. I had an interesting week. I was out in Missouri and Arkansas, which is a big step away from Oregon, and experienced a very different viewpoint. My husband comes from North Dakota, and I've always gotten the feeling that and see, Kathy told me to be careful. Tread lightly here. I had the feeling that the thought processes in the plains are 20 years behind California. That I've had that feeling with every time I've gone back that way. You know, it's a big family. We've been back many different times. North Dakota, Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma. I thought out here that we were becoming more progressive and more liberal, and then I get affiliated with the Centers for Spiritual Living, and it's like the next step up. You know, we're really open at the top and learning. And then I go back last week and kind of got, you know, a whole different viewpoint with the Bible Belt in their fundamental. The man is the head of the household, and the women just kind of do what they tell them to do. Concept back there. So I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm sorting out my feelings and my thought processes for the week because of the very opposing viewpoints that I ran into. And, you know, I know that there's a spark of divine in everyone, and I know that every path works because, you know, there has to be all these different paths, so there's something for everyone. A lot of the things that I saw definitely was different than what I firmly believe. And some of it rubbed me raw a little bit. So I guess that's where I'll leave it for today.
All right. So Jennifer is not in class tonight, as you noticed. Her mother had a heart attack, and she has been, I don't know how far, but going back and forth somewhere to support her, take care of her is very jarring for her. And she just could not come to class tonight. But I did ask her if she wanted us to hold her and her mother in prayer, and she said yes. So I was going to do a prayer, but I thought, you know, Lance, since you're doing our benediction, maybe you could include a word or two about Jennifer and her mother, you know, for healing and wholeness and such. Is that okay with you? Okay. So unless something else still needs to be said, we're just about ready. What a rich and beautiful class, everyone. And I'll be posting into the news forum a thread for you to list your takeaways from tonight. And feel free also, maybe I'll start another thread, as we talked about earlier, to sort of an overview of your reflections of term 2. As we talked about earlier, some of you may have things you would like to share. I mean, there were so many rich things in your term papers and your service reports and your practitioner reports that I think others in the class would be inspired by. So if you're so moved to share anything around that, I'll start a thread for that. And the takeaway, we would, you know, request that you all respond to that. Anything else? Okay. Go ahead, Lance. And then we're going to keep the room open for, as requested, so that Alexandra and whoever wants to stay on can talk about the retreat.
Okay, thank you. So I invite everyone to take a moment and just center yourselves. Close your eyes and breathe in once with me, and then breathe out. And we'll do one more of those. And breathe out. And I take this moment to be in complete gratitude for the incredible sharing of all the material that everyone talked about this evening. It is such a vast, vast, vast topic of real importance for society, the world, each individual. And I am in just deep appreciation of everyone's willingness to be honest and of their own feelings and of their willingness to learn and to share. And seeing the sacredness of the one shine through each individual in this way is really awe-inspiring. I will add a quick moment for Jennifer's mother. She is complete and whole, and we all see her and know that to be true for her, as well as Jennifer herself through what must be a more difficult than normal time. And with that, I simply wish everyone a fantastic evening and an enjoyable night. And so it is.
So it is. Hey, blessings, everyone. I will see you on May 1st, or see you here.
And blessings to Simon on his trip.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool.
Enjoy the journey.
You can bring us with you.
Exactly. We'll send you pictures.
We'll be
We're
with you.
Wyoming down in Brazil. Come on, let's go. Cool. Take care.
You too.
Blessings, everyone.
Bye.